Third.
There we go.
Got your audio included this time?
Yes, I do, and it's 8 o'clock, so you know what that means.
Oh God! Sorry, my well, this is off to a wonderful start.
Apparently.
I'd like to say.
Did
As
I
I share everything everywhere.
miss something?
No, I have the thing open on my computer, but I forgot to mute it so I could hear us talking. I was pretty sure my mic was picking it up there for a moment.
That is just
but anyways,
fantastic.
Okay, so here we are for another wonderful Storytime Chit-Chat. So welcome everybody back to Storytime Chit-Chat the third. Woo. Thanks for joining, as I say, with no one actually joined in yet, but hey, that's okay. We've only been here for a minute.
I'm here.
Yes, thank you for joining, David.
Hi.
Anyways, if you like this train wreck, you be sure to follow us on, and be sure to follow me here on Twitch, as well as Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Wattpad, all that hopeful attempt. I'm sorry, I just smacked my mic.
It's okay. You got
If you want
this.
more content, please become a supporter at Patreon. You can check out the About Me part of my channel for all the links. So, important things to know for the coming Friday. And happy holidays and all that joy and jazz. But on the 25th, which is Christmas and all that, I'll be posting up the result of the poll, which is the character sheet for Viserys, which will have a fun picture of him that I drew. I hope you guys like it. My art skills aren't the best, but hell, I'm trying. But there'll also be some fun facts about. There'll also be some fun facts about him on there. Another thing that's being posted on Friday is the Wattpad edition of Never in Silence. It's a completed story, roughly about 50 pages, and inspired by Senua's Sacrifice. Senua's, I always say her name wrong, and I hate that I butcher it because I love the game so much. And because it was inspired by that, I will end up doing a stream of her entire playthrough of that game. Because any excuse to play it.
Right?
Anyway, last thing that will be posted on Friday is chapters 10 through 14 of When Souls Awaken. And the reason why there's that many chapters being posted is because each chapter is rather short. but all combined, it makes up about what I've been posting on the regular anyway. So, now we can get this shit started with Chapter 7, Playful Shadows. So, the characters we see showing up in this chapter are Alora, Rune, Flora, Usco, but as a shadow this time around, and Alanis. But in God Chat, all we see is Noxera because, I don't know, because she came around for fun.
She's just chilling like a villain.
She really could be. I mean, those who do nothing at all are just as bad as those doing, the
bad stuff.
I don't know. Yeah, the bad stuff.
I got you. We got this.
Thank you.
We'll get through this together.
Thank you. One of these days. I'm like, okay, so on ESO, on a little random tangent here. On ESO, I just got this house, this week, and I'm really excited for it, and I found out that I could put my cat, that you see walking around, on a random path, and the reason I keep getting distracted and, losing track is because the thing keeps walking on the fire. And it just keeps getting me. So I am sorry for my my little thing there. And for some reason I'm not seeing the chat on my thingamajig. So if anyone's saying anything in the chat, I am not seeing it right now.
I'm keeping an eye on it for you, so I'll let you know if there's anything
there we
to look
go.
at.
It's up on my phone.
There we go.
That's good enough.
That works.
Okay. So sorry about that tangent. Anyway, so at this point in chapter 7, the girls, you know, Allura and Flora plus Rune, have been chilling out at Kyora's for a few days at this point. Allura's been recovering because, as we know, she's been quite seriously injured from the attack with the crevasse, and she was already injured before that and ended up all infected. So it's really nice that this clinic has adopted her. Oh, everyone can hear Dave, right? No one's gonna tell me after stream, you know, I tell you about it, but it was gonna be funny.
You know, there's only hope.
But
you can only hope that people can hear me.
Yeah, otherwise I sound like I'm talking to myself, but you know, hey, it just goes with the ghost aesthetic, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
But
I'm getting all ooky spooky on you.
Yeah, so anyway. So during this time of recovery for Allura, Flora has been practicing her magic, and it's in this chapter that she discovers how she can control her shadows. At least she starts getting the idea of it. And of course she figures this out through shadow puppets, because she was enjoying playing with the shadows because she was a kid, and I loved doing that as a kid, doing shadow puppets. Not that I was ever really good at it, but I could do a bird. But anyway, we can see that as she focuses, she can actually shape the shadows. Get yourself together, man.
I don't know what you're talking about. I am 100% focused.
Anyways, so she can shape the shadows, and however she focuses on it, she can make it, you know, into the bird or anything. And she's also realizing that she feels better in the darkness, like to the point like it's rejuvenating. Like she feels less tired, she feels more awake, she heals faster in the darkness. And at this point, there has never been a moment since Usko joined her that she has felt alone, and she's always feeling his presence because they have been binded. Either way, you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. They have been bounded. And
yes.
now they're
Bounded.
BFFFFs.
Forever.
However, we see in the shadow when Flora decides to try and bring Usko out into the shadows and is successful, that he doesn't really like Rune. I don't know what his problem is with this sloth. Maybe he just wants more attention, or maybe there's other things. I don't know. Maybe it's something we'll learn later in the story. Anyways.
Foreshadowing.
It's around this... Foreshadowing with shadows. I'm still proud of that. Mm-hmm. Oh, you can hate me for all the puns, but god damn it, I love them.
I appreciate your puns.
So, thank you. So, Allura reveals to Flora that Usko is, you know, the guardian of hell, which makes Usko Noxra's hound. Remember, Noxra is the warden of hell. You can also call her the mistress of hell if that suits your fancy.
That was well timed. Both did that.
I know. Anyway, the lore of Usko is that he has the power to devour all the light in the world if Noxra willed it. So, you know, you gotta keep an eye on that spooky hound. And it's with the display of this knowledge that Noxra starts to take interest in Allura a bit too, because she's impressed with Allura's knowledge of Usko, and she starts questioning where Allura's actually learned this, because all of what she revealed is not necessarily common knowledge throughout this world. So it does rise a good point. Plus she is 12 at this point with this information. And then we have Usko confirming to Flora that what Allura told her is true. So watch out, this hound is going to eat the world. Just kidding. But only if Flora wants it to. Rip indeed.
Flora has a bad day, the world ends, and that's the end of the story. Ta-da!
Hopefully Lyra gets devoured with that. Anyways. So the chapter ends with Flora having a moment where she's so happy she cries. and Alora gets all warm and fuzzy inside, and these two are having a really nice moment, and Alanis comes in to scold them because it's late as shit, and they're making a bunch of noise, and people gotta sleep because he helps run Kuro's clinic. But then he's like, "Aw, they're so cute, I'll let them be." And then he lets them have their moment. So that was nice. The girls really needed that. Because, you know, they had a lot of shit going on.
They did.
You know, we all know. So that leads us into chapter 8, which is titled Unfortunate Soul. I wonder why. Could it be that it focuses on Axis? Yes it is.
Woo.
So in this chapter, the appearing characters we see are Axis, Larsolis, the young guard, townspeople, and then in a memory, in a flashback, we see Stone and Vera again. In God Chat, we have Viserys, Noxra, and Larsolis, and on top of that, we have a new god appearing for the first time in the story, named Mindavis. And this is his, first appearance for the story. He is the god of magical creatures in Vismundus. So, the chapters... Thank you for your little woo. I don't know why that caught me, but it did.
Glad to be of service.
So the chapter starts out with Axis arriving at a small logging town that Viserys is disapproving of. And Viserys uses the town as an example of why he doesn't think mortals should have magic, because he's like, they're fucking up shit over greed without having extra power. Can you imagine what they'd do, But Mindavis instantly, rebuttals him with well, what if one of them, you give them the power and the mortal rises up and stops all this bullshit that you don't like? They could rise up as a champion. And that's the first appearance of Mindavis. And he is one of the younger gods, so to speak, but he's not nearly as young as Negzeva. Like, he's still much older than her, but he's still considered one of the newer gods. Like, if there's New Age god versus Old Age, there are several ancient gods that are important that we see coming up soon. They start getting mentioned around in places. I mean, one has been mentioned so far. Ooh. But anyway, so Axis is struggling to control his flames because it sparks up every time he starts getting angry. And then some kids witness him with his fire like flickering over him, and he tries to play it off like with an awkward smile, so we can see that he still has a bit of faith in humanity there. But the only reason Axis is in town anyway is because, he's just looking for some food. He just wants to eat. And Larsolis shows up in his human form, named Lars, because obvious gods are obvious. But Lars comes to bother Axis, and as well as drop some exposition that works as a warning for Axis to let him know that he's not the only one with magic. And it's during this that it's also implied that Lars sleeps around with mortals for shits and giggles. Because everything he does is for his own amusement, pretty much. He also confirms that Axis is still the only human phoenix. And that, also kind of confirms the fact that, there is a phoenix somewhere out there in the world, a magical creature phoenix flying around, burning shit down, too. I don't know. I don't know why I never explored that.
Yeah, we're just going to see a story now, and it's going to be, when Souls Awaken, everything is exactly the same, but all of the characters are birds.
No.
Most of the characters are birds.
Took everything I had not to make a joke. That would have spoiled a big-ass thing.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, yeah, same here. I was thinking the same joke.
Anyway, so, the scene, that scene. The scene ends with Larsolis wishing him luck before he just pieces out. And if you want to imagine what that peace out is like, go on my Facebook or my Patreon or whatever to find the meme version of peace out with Larsolis in it, because I enjoyed drawing that. Anyway, so Larsolis just fucks off because the kid snitched on Axis to the guards about his fire problems, and it's after that Axis is apprehended with something hitting him in the face. That came out funnier sounding than I thought it would. Anyway, so it's this following scene once he's been apprehended, and that still hurts me. I'm like, I was so mean to Axis when I wrote this stuff. But, because the only reason, like I said before, was that he was there because he was hungry. He just wanted some food, and it kills me every time when I get to this part, or every time I look over this part, because it's such a basic want and necessity, and he gets fucked for it so badly. But it's like, I can't stop laughing every time after, that heartbreaking moment when he just goes, again? Because it really is kind of ridiculous. Because when I was writing that part, I was thinking, oh my god, I'm having him burned alive for a second time, and we're not even that far into the story yet. What's wrong with me? I'm like, he's probably like going, what the fuck? I'm like, yeah, if anyone. But so he's again. Anyway, so it's it triggers a flashback to his mother's death and reveals that she actually died, trying to prevent Stone from sacrificing Axis, because she was not cool with it, because she was a Viserys follower, where her father was, not her father, her husband.
Wow, this marriage just got a lot more complicated.
This is turning into some Greek play.
She believes that all life is sacred and dies anyway.
You keep wanting me to do that meme, but honestly, I just don't have the heart to do that to her. Because it's just like, Axis is just... She's just trying to be a good mom, She's like, no, you can't kill my kid, and so, I mean, it's... But yeah. Anyway, so during the whole execution scene, in the God chat, we have Noxera and Larsolus kind of already, referring to placing bets on whether or not Axis survives, and Noxera had given Axis a week to survive. She guessed that he would die within a week, and she's like, oh, I guess he's gonna die sooner than that. But then, it ends up with Axis setting the whole entire village on fire. Because, honestly, if they tried to burn him alive, it wouldn't really work because he is a phoenix, but they don't know it because it's such a new thing that none of them know how to deal with it. But,
fire cannot kill a dragon.
So, the chapter ends with Viserys having a little thing where he's conflicted over the fact that Axis is taking down the village. And it's because he's conflicted because despite he despises the town because of the way that they've been fucking up all the trees in the area and disrespecting his forest, but at the same time he can't justify their slaughter because he still sees it as a waste of life, since he believes that all life is precious. So that's why Viserys wants to tell Axis good job, but he ain't gonna tell him good job for killing a bunch of people. Anyways. So that was basically chapter 8. So, if so I can keep doing this stuff, I'm gonna need more support, even if it's just liking and sharing my stuff, or if you can even go a step further and subscribe to my Patreon. The cheapest one is $3 a month or more, but there's higher levels and you can get other things as well. I have some different versions of the story, but you'll get access to the original story, and you'll get access to the chapters a week ahead of Wattpad. And any Patreon subscriber also gets invited to the Discord server, where you can submit questions that get answered at the end of this video. And I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, everything's at Hopeful Attempt, so I tried to keep it easy. Anyways, now that we're done with that little bit of self-promotion there, chapter 9. We go into chapter 9. That was so fucking weird sounding. Why'd you let me do that?
You're fine.
Okay, so chapter 9
is called
Burnt Skin. And once again, we're starting off with Axis. Because, you know, if there's anything to do with fire, Axis has to be there, obviously. And once again, my cat is walking across the fire in the game. He's also going through a tree.
He is showing solidarity with Axis in this trying time.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I like that.
I thought you might.
Yes. Thank you for saying that in chat, Z. He said at least we can hear both of you this time. And I am very happy to hear that because I asked the chat earlier and no one answered me. So I've just been kind of hoping. I mean, this time we did remember to include the audio, but it's nice to be 20 minutes in and, you know, not sound like I'm talking to myself.
That is pretty nice.
Anyways, so in chapter 9, our appearing characters is Axis, a group of ne'er-do-wells, Kuro, Alora, Brune, Flora, a convenient pair of friends discussing rumors, Lyra in a memory flashback, an orphanage boy in a memory flashback, and we have, of course, Fire Chad, aka Lars Solus and Lars. I don't know if anyone pays attention to my hashtags when I post his memes, but we refer to him as Fire Chad sometimes because, I don't know, I really hope there's someone that understands it more so than me. I don't know why. But in God Chat, I swear I can talk.
You can, I believe in you.
At least I can write sometimes.
I believe in you. You got this.
But in God Chat, we have Lars Solus, Noxera, and Santa Kuro having a few things to say. So this chapter starts out with a quick glance of Axis, where he runs into a group of ne'er-do-wells. And it kind of happened because I wanted an excuse where I could use the term ne'er-do-wells. There are some scenes in my story that really just were birthed because I wanted a specific thing to happen, or I just wanted to be able to use the term correctly or something. So not all my scenes have had complex thought behind them. But anyway, one of my favorite things about this scene is that he does make a pun before burning them all to death after they decided to harass him. You know, when they're like, when he's like, how about you leave me alone? And they're like, how about you burn in hell? And he's like, how ironic. I was thinking the same thing. I don't really know if you can consider that a pun. But anyway, I think it's funny that they tell him to burn in hell, then he burns them to death. Because I have humor. Anyways, I have humor. I have some twisted humor, I guess is the better way to put it. Just a little bit.
You know.
Just a little bit.
And that's okay.
As a treat.
As a treat. That's right. As a treat.
So after these ne'er-do-wells meet their demise, that we jump over to Kuro's clinic, where it is revealed that it has been a week in total since the girls have arrived there. And Kuro is currently taking care of Alora's stitches. And yes, he told her they'd be out in 2 weeks, but he's got some tricks apparently. Apparently he's got some things up his sleeve to let him, you know, treat her twice as fast than what her normal healing would be. I wonder what it would be, considering, you know, his name is Kuro, and he's got a shrine named Santa Kuro. For Santa Kuro as well.
I'm sure it's just a coincidence.
Just a coincidence. Obvious gods are obvious. So during the week, Kuro has done what he can to prep these girls for their inevitable return to their lifestyle of adventuring around without adults, because he's got too much bullshit to take care of. His student ain't gonna adopt them either, because he's honestly raising his own kid. They all got too much shit going on. Anyway, so Alora during this time was the perfect student for Kuro, but she is a bit older than Flora, and Flora, you know, she was a kid. She did not do well with the learning, but she has been self-teaching herself how to, you know, basically improve her control over her magic, and she's figured out she really enjoys pranking people with it. Poor Alanis is constantly being tripped during this time, so she's figured out how to solidify her shadows into almost solid objects to trip people and whatnot. But anyways, it's when they're about to leave the clinic that Flora accidentally messes up her and Alora's lie about being sisters. And Kuro's like, kid, I knew the whole time. Because it's pretty obvious, I want to say. But plus, you know,
they look nothing alike.
He's got a really good Yeah, he's got a really good bullshit meter too, on top of that. And he does not have enough coffee to deal with all the bullshit that comes his way. Anyway, so
Coffee.
Kuro explains to Flora that because she's like, why did she lie then? And he explains to her that it was in an effort to help protect the two of them and keep them together so they didn't get sent to an orphanage or something. And, you know, that the idea of being sent to an orphanage again really freaks her out. So she was really happy to hear that Alora was protecting her from that. And then Flora is having a lot of trouble with saying goodbye to Kuro, and this is a moment where Alora teaches her to say, until next time, instead of goodbye. And I can just tell you that that is going to be painful later on in the story.
Uh-oh.
Anyways, then the girls head to the market, and Flora convinces Alora to take the money that Kuro had offered them, to help let her, you know, get some supplies. And Alora takes the chance to replace the bow that shattered in the other chapter, and she chooses function and quality over the aesthetics, because Flora wants to get the pretty bow. She's like, no, I want the recurve. I want to get something that's going to work for a long time. So then we have the convenient pair of friends discussing rumors come in next. Flora overhears them talking about the logging town. She hears that it's been decimated by some sort of flame monster, and that these two people suspect that Viserys has finally lost his patience with the place, and that's the reason it got destroyed, even though the fact that it was burned down and Viserys doesn't use fire magic and isn't associated with fire.
He's branching out. Broadening his horizon. I wasn't even trying for that pun. That's what makes it even better.
That was a good pun. Anyway, so Flora starts getting really nervous over these people, these two, because they're, you know, no one's really approving of the fact that he has, that Axis here has magic. And she tries to run away from it to go find Alora because she's getting really scared, and she's a kid. But it's at this point that she runs into Axis, and she falls down, and she starts crying, and Axis is just grumpy Axis.
Nothing
so
personnel,
Alora rushes over to her rescue, and she shoves Axis before chewing him out because she's just pissed off that he didn't apologize and he was just going to leave Flora on the ground. And we see Axis then threatens Alora, and she just straight up smacks the kid. She's like not putting up with his bullshit.
Big nope.
And so he tries to discreetly display his power by burning her wrist in his grip and thinking it's going to intimidate her. So she smacks him harder. And I love her for this. And she's demanding an apology the whole time. And it's at that moment that Axis is completely thrown off her because nothing has succeeded in intimidating this 12-year-old girl. I mean, you know, he's older, and he's taller, he's bigger, he should be scary, but, you know, she really doesn't give a fuck. She's fought worse monsters in her life, which we'll see more of later on. Yes, it was super effective. Alora used double slap. It's super effective, is what Z said. Thank you, Z.
Yes, and I also said thanks to him for saying best puns are a happy accident.
Yeah, boy. That's nice. Shit. So, and Alora calls him an asshole. Axis, that is. No, she just calls Z an asshole. No, I'm just kidding.
For no particular reason.
Anyway,
just because.
Alora calls him an asshole and checks on Flora, and then checks on Flora. And after a moment, Axis does come over and finds the balls to apologize. And that's when Alora notices that he is injured, and she's just like, alright, I'm going to take care of that. And she does not give him a choice. She's just like, come on, we're going to take care of this. Takes his hand.
She learned something from Kuro after all.
Yeah! So, while she's walking away with Axis, it triggers a memory for Flora of her first crush abandoning her. And Flora has abandonment issues because, you know, she's an orphan, her parents abandoned her, the one girl she liked abandoned her constantly. But Allura stops and is really quick to include her, and Flora just like runs to her and basically grips her hand with a breaking force. But it's okay. Allura's fine, probably. Her bones are a bit bruised, maybe, but that's fine. Anyway, while treating Axis, Allura appears really naive and oblivious to his abilities and what he's capable of, because she just keeps chalking it up to other things. At least in an obvious way she keeps doing that. So Sanakuro in the God chat points out that she's actually very aware and is handling Axis the best she can. Sanakuro is like, she sees it and she's just dealing with it. She knows how to deal with a wounded animal, basically. And after this encounter, Allura starts to question just how many mages actually exist in Vismundus at this point. Because it's a valid question, because, the first one she knows of is Flora. And now she's met this boy that also can wield the power of the gods, so to speak. So she's starting to wonder just how many, because where does it end? I guess we'll find out. Does it end? Probably not.
Maybe. Mayhaps.
Maybe. We'll see if Abervis comes and resets the world again.
Rip.
Anyway, the chapter ends with Larsolus being agitated, but also intrigued. Hey Shadow! Thanks for joining the stream.
Alright.
Sorry, I just got my name screamed in the chat by one of my friendos. Who I keep flopping between calling him by his gamertag and his real name. We never know. It's a coin cost, really, of what I'll call him. But anyway, so Larsolus is kind of agitated but also intrigued by Allura's effect on Axis. Because he wants his phoenix to stay untamed and wild, and but Axis calms down so quickly after with Laura's interference. Like, he doesn't keep going. She diffuses him, and Larsolus is like, why? And he of course stops Axis as soon as he possibly can to interrogate him about this. And he's instantly met with Axis being defensive, not only defensive but also protective over Allura. He's like, she doesn't need your bullshit. And it's really obvious that Axis doesn't want Larsolus to fuck around with her at all. And of course, the chapter ends with a final taunt from Larsolus to Axis, telling him to mind his flames of passion, because there's some passion.
Alright. I see what you did there.
Okay.
Alright.
Thank you. So that concludes our go over the chapters that we had posted last Friday. Not last Friday, the Friday before. Sorry. This Friday we will be I don't know why I keep saying we. This Friday I will be posting chapters 10 through 14 for free on Wattpad. So, and as I mentioned earlier, they're going to be shorter than normal, but that's okay because they equal about the same amount of content anyway. So now I got some questions to answer here that were submitted, and I forgot to add some of them, so I don't know.
We're gonna play it by ear here then. So how about this?
We'll answer these and then I'll do a quick look over. So go ahead and hit me with your best shot.
All right.
Please don't hit me. I don't want to actually be hit.
I wouldn't do that to you.
I know.
All right, here we go. Why didn't Larsolus give Axis help?
Okay, so despite Larsolus' interference resulting with the birth of the mages, and this was in reference to why didn't Larsolus help Axis when the guards came for him in the logging town? And that's because he doesn't really like to interact with mortals beyond what he needs to, even though he even though he does have a sorry. Hopeful to woe. Asked what? Sorry, I get distracted by the chat so fast and so easy. But yeah, so he shows up. I'm gonna finish answering this question. So he shows up around Axis frequently, though, because he's getting attached and he's enjoying pissing off Axis. Because let's face it, Axis is fun to torment. So in the chat, I got the question: why does Usko have issues with Rune? I could tell you certain things, but there are certain big spoilers with that. So, for now, let's just say a sloth looks tasty. Anyway, next question.
All right. So, why is Kuro so obvious?
Why is Kuro so obvious? Because he is tired and he doesn't have time for the bullshit that always limps its way to him. Beyond that, it's so obvious that no one actually notices. Because what the fuck would a god be doing in this back-ass woods clinic anyway? But, you know, so it's very obvious at this point that Kuro is Sano Kuro, and somehow Flora is still whooshing on it, even though he literally says, you know, just pray to Sano Kuro if you miss me. I'll hear ya. And she's like, how? So, gotta love it.
Yes, you do.
Alright,
What,
go ahead.
What forms can the gods take, seeing as how Larsolus can take a human form? Do all the gods follow a set god form?
Okay, so to put it simply, gods can appear however they want to. For example, the goddess that rules over heaven and the god of knowledge both prefer to appear as dragons. So, however, the god of knowledge, he's more of that kind of like Western dragon design, you know. And then the goddess of heaven, she's more of that Eastern serpentine type of dragon, but not that that's really important. I just don't know if it's actually mentioned at any point, but I appreciate it. Anyway, so the goddess of sanctuary, and then this goddess of sanctuary is another example. She likes to appear as this cat fox bird thing. She's basically got the body of a cat, ears of a fox, and wings of a bird because she thought it was cute. But there are no actually set god forms. The closest they get to that to a set form is kind of like an elvish appearance, where, you know, they look kind of akin to human but with pointed ears. But all their forms are really just an aesthetic choice because they are gods. They can do whatever they want with themselves, apparently. Anyway,
All right.
So
Next.
I had a question from Z in the chat,
All right.
which was, does Axis need aloe every time he has man-to-hand relations? Well, that is an interesting question. And I have much concern for any of his future lovers now.
Well, I mean, seeing as how he's fireproof, I mean, I guess it would depend on passion and everything. I mean, in his case, I think it's going to be more about friction than anything.
I think there was a learning curve.
Probably.
And quite possibly burned it at some point. But,
Just a little.
poor Axis.
He's
I'm
into
sure
it.
Larsolus died when that happened. But
Now,
anyway.
yeah, now we have the mental image of Larsolus watching.
If
So
I
thank
ever
you for
write
that.
smut, if I ever write smut, I will include the aloe or not include the aloe. I'll figure it out there.
He just uses it instead of any other lubricants, that's all.
Anyway.
Yes, anyway, so I have another...
Now we're moving on to Dave time.
Hold on.
Right? No?
No, there's still... You said that there were other questions you didn't write in the thing that you wanted to get to.
But I gotta find them. I
have
I'm
it.
Gonna find them while you talk. Oh, fuck. I need time to think about these answers. Okay, let's see. Let's see how horribly I do. Hit me.
Alright, here we go. Is it possible that Viserys could have actually lost his patience with the town that Axis had burned down? And if so, what would have happened?
Okay. I think if Axis... Oh my god. I think if Viserys were to lose his patience during with a town, that it would be more of a being taken over by growth thing. But he wouldn't do anything to kill people because he wouldn't feel that it'd be really, because one of his core beliefs is that, you know, all life is precious. So I don't think he would actually kill someone over it, but it could be possible. So, but he would try and retake back the land if he was going to lose his patience. Next question.
Alright, so the next one, and this one was from Z, it's, would Larsolus still be immune? Wait, let me make sure I get this right. Would Larsolus have lost interest in Axis if Axis didn't burn the town down?
It's a good question, because, you know, so much of his amusement is, you know, based on, you know, behaviors and shit like that from Axis, but he probably would have been disappointed, or, yeah, he would have been disappointed, and,
I'm not mad, I'm just
laughing at?
I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's basically what it would be. But, you know, Axis is just such a fiery character all the time that he wouldn't lose interest completely. He might get disappointed, and he might have possibly thrown him into a worse situation. Like, he might have actually tried to start something to, you know, if he was really that bored. But, you know, he's having a good time watching everyone fuck about with new magic.
Alright. And I think that was the only other one, because the only other one I saw was the Usko and one, and that one was already answered, so.
Yep. Alright. So now we're going to move into Dave time, because my friend Hippie Ghost, my co-host, my wonderful one, that it included his audio for the entire thing this time
I'm so proud of me.
I'm so proud of you, too.
Right.
We're going to talk a bit about his work, too, because he's a writer, and he's been such a huge help for getting everything published, because he helps me edit all my work as well before it gets posted, and he helped me get into writing. So let's hear a bit about your characters. Where let's talk about Elra and Arya from the world of Desthea. Did I say it right this time?
Yes, you did, Desthea.
Fuck yeah.
Yes, so they are actually both characters that are going to appear in the first story that I publish, which I'm planning to publish at the beginning of the year, since we're right around the corner now from it. They are not the main characters of that story, but they're very important characters to the story over all of the Athenian Tales. The Athenian Tales itself, every short story and every just story in general is going to have kind of an overarching tale of the world itself and how they interact. So, you know, a character that might be a minor character in one of the short stories could be the major character in another one. I'm already planning to have a few cases where you'll run into a character in one of our stories, and that character later ends up having the same encounter from their point of view during their story, you know, as kind of a passing thing. So I'm excited about that. But the twins themselves, Elra and Arya, are two of my favorites. So, and I can pretty much say anything I want about them, because most of it isn't spoilery. So, first...
Yeah. Well, let's start with rumors you'd hear about them within the world.
Yes. So, there's a few major rumors. The first is that there's this belief that the twins have never lost a battle at sea. These twins are both, well, one's a mage and one is a scion, and they're both in charge of a pirate ship called the Crimson Tempest. The Crimson Tempest is marked by crimson sails and a sapphire coat, which is very much in line with the twins themselves, because one has crimson hair and the other has sapphire locks.
I'm just imagining the ship wearing like a little coat.
Just
like a little blue coat.
Yeah, no, the wood is blue, and they should see a doctor about it. So,
sorry,
major joke.
I wasn't expecting that.
You're okay. So, but generally the rumor is that if you see the Crimson Tempest, well, you're probably already dead. The other big thing, though, with the Tempest is that they like to, as pirates, they like to plan surprise attacks and ambushes. And they will let you know that they are coming because you will hear what's called the death song, and it's different depending on the situation, but they have a maiden aboard in the ship who will sing a nice, somber tune to kind of share their arrival.
And I have to say, in one of the collabs that we wrote together, because that's what we do for fun when we're taking a break from writing, we write stories together, apparently.
Yes.
But during one of the collabs, when he first introduced the idea of this death song, it fit so perfectly. It was just so epic for the moment, and it was beautiful, and I loved it.
Yeah. I would actually,
So,
I would not be opposed to sharing a little bit of that, maybe as a treat for somebody if you wanted.
Yeah, because that's one of my random worlds that I have. But so now that we've heard some of the rumors about them, what does the world actually think of these twins?
Well, it depends on who you ask. So most of everything is under control of the various Night Orders and their supporters. And being as they are pirates with these magical powers that have basically been unbeatable up until now, they're the knights and their supporters, who are their enemies, see them as either demons or as heretics, or, just even as, wretches or something along those lines. It really depends on which of the Night Orders you ask. I know that the Knights of Sevis, a lot of them are very afraid of Elra and Arya because they deal with them most often. But their leader sees them as basically beneath him, although he has a lot of very personal reasons for that. Your general civilians, most of them see them as feared pirates, ruthless killers, what you would expect people to think about pirate legends of their time. But you also have your children and your free spirits who see them as adventurers, and they want to hear about those adventures, hear about the tales and everything. Now, that said, they aren't necessarily evil. They have actually saved countless witches from countries where witchcraft has been made illegal. They've also been very kind to people of races and creeds that are frowned upon by the knights. They tend to help find them sanctuary, although it's not usually for free. But the witches and those people that they've rescued tend to see them as heroes. But everybody they've helped, while they praise them for their efficiency, they're careful to note the steep price for their aid.
Okay, and you got a question in the chat from Z. He asked about, is the death song a dirge or a requiem?
So it really depends on the content, or the context. But the character that sings the songs is capable of both. Generally, they tend to lean more towards a requiem, but if you pissed the Tempest off, then yeah, it's going to be more of a dirge.
Oh, wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So, with these reputations and rumors, what are Arya and Elra's titles like within the world?
So generally they're referred to as maidens. So Elra is the Sapphire Maiden. She has the sapphire hair, and she tends to not see battle as often. Usually when they're boarding, she's the one that stays on the ship, and Arya is the one that goes on the other ship. But
the redhead's a hothead, maybe?
yes, actually. And there is fire involved, actually. So,
wonderful.
And you will get a chance to see that. But yes, Elra is considered the Sapphire Maiden. She is not a mage, but she does have powers of her own. But her powers are powers she was born with and honed, as opposed to magic, which is something that you are taught or that you learn. Arya is the Scarred Maiden, and the reason they call her that is because, as you can see with
she has perfect skin.
Yes. Now, she has burn scars covering the entire right half of her body.
Kind of like his ESO character, right?
Yeah,
now.
except my ESO character is actually backwards.
Wow, your ESO character looked really mad at me there for a moment. Fine, I'm going back over here.
No, come back. But no, yes, so Arya
Did
is...
anyone else see the way it snarled at me?
So,
sorry, go on.
No, you're fine. So Arya is the Scarred Maiden. She is covered in burn scars across the entire right side of her body, and you'll find out why eventually. But she does have extremely good control over fire magic, as well as magic of different elements of air and water as well. Her unique magic is that she summons storms. Because she is much more out there, and she tends to put herself in more dangerous situations, she is most often referred to as the Sea Witch, because if you're anywhere near the sea, there's a chance that you might run into her, and things might get a little bit explodey.
I love that. A little bit explodey.
As a treat.
As a treat.
Yeah, so that would be the two twins. There is one other little difference that I will say, though. Arya is the more hot-headed of the two, but if you need to come to one of them for help, she's the one to do it, because Elra will be the one to try to charge you up the wazoo for it. In one of our collabs, actually, I think I mentioned this last week, but in one of our collabs, she double dipped. There were two lost lovers that wanted to reunite with each other. She found the one, said, "Sure, I'll help you find your lost lover for, a fee." And then she found the other and said, "Sure, I'll help you find your lost lover for a fee."
And then she brought them together. Yeah, and the one got very mad. The other one was like, "I don't give a shit. I have him again."
Yes, so, she's not above it. She is a maiden of greed, yes,
Yes.
very much.
Yes, see? Maiden of greed for real.
Mm-hmm. And, yeah, she's not shy about it, either. Now, that said, she isn't completely unfair. But you'll see that as time goes on. But yeah, that's all I have on them. I just want to mention a couple of projects I'm working on real quick. So, the story that they're showing up in is called Finding Work, and they're going to show up as minor characters in that one, but I will explore them again later, especially if I have a lot of demand to see them in the near future. Maybe I'll do a little short story between just those two before I focus on their overarching. I also have the Adventures of Lady Farista that are coming to fruition. I'm almost done with the first chapter of that, but I've got two other projects that I'm really excited about. The first is the story of probably my favorite of my characters, simply because he's grown so much with me and with my writing and everything. I mean, he's the first character I designed, and he's changed a lot over the years. And that would be the story of Ren. So you will end up, that's one I want to try to post up soonish, probably sometime in the next month or two. I'm going to have a schedule up once I actually have everything figured out as to how often I can do all of these things. But we'll get to see his story, and I also have another short story that I had an idea for earlier. I don't want to spoil a whole lot, but I will say that the character that is the main character of the story is probably the most normal character I've ever come up with.
Amazing.
Yeah,
that's
the most
something,
sane.
we never come up with normal characters.
Yes, this is the most sane character. But other than that, there is one other thing I wanted to bring up. Earlier, Amanda mentioned her story, Never in Silence. So my character Ren, he has a lot in common with the main character, Rena, in that, they both deal with a very similar problem, and you'll see that later on. But the way that she went about it and the way that Never in Silence is written was something that I personally found to be very effective. I related a lot to this character, and I'm just so excited for her to, be seen and heard by other people. So, really looking forward to that, Amanda.
Thank you. So, Never in Silence is really, it got inspired when I was playing Senua's Sacrifice, the Hellblade series, and I adore that game, and the way the voices are just always taunting you during it and whatnot, that it actually inspired the entire story, Never in Silence. However, while Senua's Sacrifice is like Nordic or Norse, like gods and mythology and all that, and going to try and barter for a soul back from Hela, this story deals with a necromancer that's just trying to escape, the stigmas against her and whatnot, because they are hunting her down basically for simply being a necromancer, because it's extremely frowned upon. However, magic is inherited in that story. So
you
the
can't help
little,
what you are.
yeah, the little description I wrote up for it was, Rena, all she wants is to survive. She wants to see another day. She wants to live without being hunted. But the world paints her an abomination, and the antagonizing voices in her head refuse to cease. They constantly toy with her, only coming into helpful focus when her life falls into danger. Now, this story is currently available to my patrons right now, the entirety of it. Otherwise, the entirety of it will be posted this Friday on my Wattpad. So it's all formatted and ready to go. I just, keeping to my schedule because I try to, keep to one. But so besides posting Never in Silence on Friday, which is Christmas, I will also be posting, the results, Viserys's character sheet, which was decided by a poll that my patrons did, along with chapters 10 through 14 of When Souls Awaken will also be published. So that's what we have to look forward to. And
you see one?
So with the is there an affair, man?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he is. More than you know.
I love it.
Me too.
But okay, so as I mentioned before I forget, because amazing puns. But so Never in Silence, since it was inspired by Hellblade, I will be doing a little series of streams on as a playthrough of the game, and during it I'll just be bullshitting about whatever I'm talking. Might talk about the entirety of the story, so if you're worried about spoilers, you might not want to listen to it till after you've finished reading the story. Otherwise, anything fair game on it. It's going to be at least a week after Christmas. I'm looking to start the series early January, but keep an eye out on my Facebook and Twitter for dates and times of when it'll actually occur. And if you like the stream, be sure to follow me on here, on my Twitter as well, my Facebook, my YouTube, and my Wattpad, all at Hopeful Attempt, where you can also, on Facebook and Patreon, you can enjoy Meme Mondays, and Twitter, I also posted on there. You'll also get, and following on any of them, you'll get announcement, updates, and artwork when I get around to it. And if you want more content to keep coming, please become a supporter on Patreon, or just like and share. Even if you just randomly go to my page every once in a while and just mass like everything, I'll be so grateful. All I want for Christmas is people to like and share, subscribe.
Perfect. All right.
But yeah. So, really excited for the Never in Silence coming up. I am so excited to play that game again. I'm just going to put it on the hardest difficulty, and the one function I love about that game is each time you die, you get closer to resetting the entire game, because each time you die, the curse spreads further up your arm, and if it goes if it reaches your head, you lose the entire game.
Right.
But that hasn't happened to me, but that's what the game tells me happens. But,
Big rip.
I'm so looking forward to it.
Me too.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Also,
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I am looking at my calendar right now, and I think I know what day I'm going to post that that first story.
Yeah?
Yep. I think I am going to be posting it on Friday, Friday the 1st, which is New Year's Day.
Woo! I will also be posting on Friday the 1st.
Yep.
I don't remember which part I'll be posting because I don't have my calendar in front of me. But hey, another reason to go to my Facebook or Twitter. The pinned top tweet post is my calendar for all of January, for all the content coming out. Anyways, once again, become a supporter at Patreon, or like, subscribe. Any support counts. I appreciate all of it. And all my links are in the about of my channel. You can go ahead and read chapters 1 through 14, not 1 through 14, 1 through 9 right now for free on Wattpad. This Friday you'll be able to read up to chapter 14 for free on Wattpad. And please, when you read it, vote and leave comments, because I love them. You know, even if it's criticism, I appreciate all feedback. So thanks for joining the stream. I love you guys, but it's time to hang up.
See you guys.
As soon as I can. Okay,
Waiting.
bye.
There we go.